Before I begin, I wanted to give a little insight into the series that is the Pokemon game. Pokemon was created by Satoshi Tajiri, and the first ever game was red and green versions that were released in 1996. And they were very popular, spawning off an enhanced version called Blue. Blue was used as the international standard and was released in 1998 as Pokemon Red version and Pokemon Blue version. I myself had Pokemon Red version. Later on, they released another version called Pokemon Yellow version, which was, created in order to show off the color palettes of the Game Boy Color, and also to have a game that more closely resembled the anime storyline. Now, all the way in 2002, Pokemon was on its third generation of series, the Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, and it was then that they decided to do a remake of the older games for the Game Boy Advanced. The remakes were released in 2004, and they were called Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I myself had Leaf Green. Now, without further ado, this is the story of Green. Our story begins with a young man named Green, who after turning the ripe age of 12 is offered a job by his next-door neighbor, an eccentric man who went by the name of Professor Oak. The job was to take his new scientific recording device into the wild and gather information on as many Pokemon as possible. Green enthusiastically decided to take the job as it would mean two things. He would be leaving the tiny town of Pallet, and also Professor Oak would be giving him his first Pokemon. So the next morning, Green woke up, and after a heartfelt goodbye to his mother, left to begin his grand adventure. Professor Oak met Green outside and led him into his lab. He wasn't really sure that this was necessary, however, seeing as Oak was the only other person who lived in town. Unless you maybe count the two homeless people who hang around. So it was now inside of Oak's lab that Green received a Pokedex, along with a small loan of 3,000 money. Green was very excited to meet his first Pokemon, and eagerly threw the Pokemon, and out popped a female Caterpie. Green had seen many Caterpie around town, and felt a little bit of disappointment, but what else did he think would be inside the Pokeball? Some rare Pokemon he would have no way of catching outside? Meeting his new partner in his adventure, Green decided that she needed a name, and Glitch would be the name of his companion. As of this very moment, their adventure would begin. Green walked down the only available path, battling wild Pokemon and catching new ones to fill up his Pokédex. As he finally made his way to Viridian City, he saw a huge building off to the northwest. He had never seen anything so huge and decided it would be the next place he would travel to. He stopped at the Pokemart to stock on Pokeballs with the money that Oak had lent him. It was his job to catch as many Pokemon on his journey so that Oak could obtain data on them, so he intended to do the job well. After healing up at the Pokemon Center and making plans to stay there later that night, he set off to find out what the large building was that caught his attention even from the city. Traveling along a trickier route, he came across many wild Pokemon and began to catch them to help fill up the pages of the Pokédex. Among many of the Pokemon was one that he had never seen before. The Pokédex informed him that this Pokemon was called Mankey, and he realized that this would now be the newest addition to his team. With a little help from Glitch, Mankey was caught. Next came naming it. There was a fire in Mankey's eyes, the same fire Green hoped he could be seen in his. So with that, Green decided on the name Heat. After having caught Mankey, Glitch decided to finally evolve into Metapod. Now even more excited, Green continued on. Until, that is, he ran into another kid along the way. The kid seemed just slightly older than himself, and Green knew what this meant. Finally, it would be his first battle. However, much to Green's dismay, he was easily trounced by his opponent. Green finds out the other kid's name is Red, and he asks Green where he's going. Green tells him, and Red begins to explain that the larger building is the Pokemon League, and to go inside, you have to have 8 gym badges, and wait till they open up in 6 months. Green feels a bit down, just having been defeated, and now realizing that he can't truly make his way to the building. So with that, Red says goodbye, and Green rushes his Pokemon to the center to Hill. With the battle still fresh on his mind, and Green not willing to give up on his journey, he decides that Red will become his rival, and that next time, for sure, he's going to defeat him. He also decides that he wants to take on the Pokemon League, beating the Elite Four and becoming the champion. So while he traveled over the Kanto region gathering Pokemon, he would also take on the gym challenges. So after staying the night at the Viridian City Pokemon Center, Green wakes up and decides to continue on his journey once again. After strengthening his Pokemon in the Viridian Forest and catching new Pokemon, he spots a young man to try out their newfound strength on. And sure enough, Green beats his opponent and begins his winning streak. Searching the forest for new opponents, Green stomps every trainer he can find, causing Glitch to evolve into a Butterfree. Upon reaching Pewter City, Green made his way to the Pokemon Center and healed up for his biggest battle yet. Next up was Pewter City's gym leader, Brock. Green challenged Brock, and as his duty he accepted the battle. Brock sent out Geodude, telling Green that his opponent specialized in rock Pokemon, so Green started off the fighting type, Mankey. Green unleashed Heat, and due to his type, he was able to secure the victory for Green with relative ease. And with that, Green was one badge closer to his dream of the Pokemon Leagues. He set off once again, wanting to gain as much ground as possible before dark, traveling through another route towards Mount Moon, which would then lead him to Cerulean City. Battling even more trainers along the way, Green made it to a Pokemon Center right outside the mountain, just as the sun was setting. Tired from his busy day and deciding to stay here for the night, instead of stumbling around the caves at the dark. Next morning, however, Green was eager to set off and to begin the day's adventure. Inside of Mount Moon, he ran into several thugs from an organization called Team Rocket. Battling off member after member and catching new Pokemon as he saw them, he ran into a new Pokemon that he decided would be his next new member of the team. Clefairy was a Pokemon like none he had ever seen before. It was small and pink and waved its fingers through the air. Upon catching the Pokemon, Green came up with the perfect name for his newest partner, Dizzy, because of how dizzy it made Green watching it wag its fingers around. So with his new partner in tow, Green continued to the end of Mount Moon, but not before running into one last member of Team Rocket. Apparently, they had come to Mount Moon in order to steal fossils a local scientist had dug up. According to Team Rocket, there was another scientist on a faraway island who could revive the Pokemon from their fossils. The idea was a little over Green's head. However, as a gift for protecting the scientist and his fossils, he offered to give Green one of them, the Helix or the Dome fossil. Green chose the Helix, as it was the one closest to him, and he had no idea what kind of Pokemon could be revived from either. But now he had another goal. If he found himself on this faraway island, he would definitely find the scientist to revive the creature. Upon making it to Cerulean City, Green decided to stop at the Pokemon Center to heal up his team, and send Professor Oak his newly caught Pokemon, and take a much-needed shower, of course. Afterwards, with renewed energy, he was ready to take on the gym leader. At least, he was until he overheard people inside talking about something called Nugget Bridge. Green headed out to battle these trainers and receive their rather lucrative prize. However, on the way he saw the boy he had chosen as his rival. Red told him he had gone to visit a friend of his grandfather's, which Green now learned was the professor he was most familiar with, Oak. Red was also from Pallet Town, and what's more, he was working to also fill up the pages of his grandfather's Pokédex. The man who lived beyond the bridge was named Bill. He was a much younger professor who had built the Pokemon transfer system in the Pokemon Centers. Green was impressed and wanted to meet this man too. However, before that, one thing needed to happen. Green challenged Red to his rematch. This time, Green had Heat, Glitch, and Dizzy. Red had a Rattata, a Pidgey, an Abra, and its powerful Charmander. However, this time, Green emerged the victor without a single KO on his side. Green was now even more excited, and Red was impressed with how much he had grown. Red gave Green a look before taking off that told him he would also be this boy's rival. And with that, Green took on the bridge, knocking out each opponent's Pokemon one after another before arriving to the owner, who had his prize. After giving the prize, the clerk said something that surprised Green greatly. The man was actually a member of Team Rocket and wanted Green to join. Green was scared of what might happen, but surprisingly, after denying the man, he simply battled him. After beating the grunt and continuing on to Bill's, Green couldn't help but think of how lame the criminals Team Rocket were. Upon making it to Bill's house, he was surprised to find a talking Clefairy. However, the strange Pokemon explained to him it was really Bill himself, who, using a teleporter, placed his mind inside of the Clefairy. Green really wanted to see the Clefairy inside of Bill's body. However, he helped Bill out by hitting the right button on his computer to swap them back. As a thank you, Bill gave Green a ticket. The ticket was for a cruise liner called the SS Anne that would carry many trainers from the Kanto to Johto region. However, it would be leaving later tonight, and Bill wouldn't be able to make it. Green was excited and hurried back into the city to heal up his Pokemon for the trip. Now, that's going to be all for this episode of the story of Green. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, be sure to like and subscribe, seeing as it makes the YouTubes go round. And also, most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourselves.